You ever notice how the WNBA brags loudest when Caitlin Clark is in the lineup and goes quiet when she's not? I'm not here to be nice. I'm here to expose the full story, the real Caitlin Clark effect, how the league hides numbers, and how jealousy, yes, jealousy, runs from the commissioner's office down through some of the players. Because make no mistake, Caitlin Clark is the reason the WNBA is this close to turning a profit. But when you say this close, you have to wonder how close they really are. Hey, y'all, Snowman here, and this is Snowman's Take. Caitlin Clark didn't just show up, she shifted the whole landscape, and she was doing that her last 2 years at Iowa. When she was active, viewership metrics rose very sharply. WNBA games with her were hitting record numbers across TV networks, ABC, ESPN, CBS, all benefiting. The WNBA average from ABC's average over this season over 12 games was 1.43 million viewers, up 13% from last year. Her games on ABC, let's take a look at it. The opener versus the Chicago Sky, 2.7 million viewers. They played versus the Liberty, 2.2 million. Remember the foul at the end of the game? And the matchup versus the Wings, where the Fever scored 35 points in the second quarter, a record 2.1 million. Her social media offline, off the charts. 613% got a League Pass subscription, and that's more than tripled. Average minutes watched per user at its highest levels in league history. And the social media view count up more than 380%. Her content pulls in millions of plays and massive engagement. Now we got to flip to the other side because the contrast is very stark. And these are the numbers they don't want front and center. Fever games without Caitlin Clark have seen viewership in some broadcasts drop to more than 55%. Nationally televised games without her are averaging far less comparable than games with her. The All-Star game in 2025, I don't have to tell you how fans hated that game. 2.2 million viewers. That sounds good, but it's down from 3.44 million in 2024 when Clark was playing. That's a 36% drop. 36%. And for ABC, even though Clark missed some scheduled games, the ones she did play were the highest watched this season, including her return against the New York Liberty. Though without her, games lag very significantly. Let's take a look in the local markets. I'm in Indiana. I'm close to Indianapolis. That's where the Fever are. In local markets, especially here in Indiana, home Fever games turn into the hottest ticket in town. And in many ways, it's still the hottest ticket in town. Attendance rolls, arenas sold out that they hadn't played in years. She drove fans to stadiums. Listen, Dallas moved their game to American Airlines Center. Anybody familiar with that? A couple of other teams, Washington moved their games to a bigger arena in Baltimore, the old Baltimore Arena. Remember that? Of course you do. In terms of merchandise, her jersey became the top seller for a draft pick, and WNBA team stores saw huge ups in revenue in 2024, and that's largely attributed to her popularity. Let me give you another example. Two games this year got moved from Wintrust Arena to the United Center in Chicago in anticipation of seeing Caitlin Clark play. Now, they both sold out over 19,000, but I can tell you from fans that sent me videos in the arena, there were a lot of empty seats. The social media and the digital content posts about her got massive reach, with diverse audiences tuning in. That means men, women, younger viewers in numbers that WNBA hasn't seen historically. Let me repeat that last word, historically. Now, there's one aspect of this that I don't like, and I've seen it from the players, from their play on the floor to their responses off the floor. Kennedy Carter, anyone? And that's jealousy. There's jealousy from people who worked in women's basketball for years, who built the league in a world where stars struggle for attention. There's tension coming from commentating bodies, commissioner's office, maybe some or a lot of the players because she doesn't fit every mold they expect. Let's go to the obvious. She's white, she's straight, she's not about pushing identity politics, at least publicly, or performing activism the way some expect. Kelsey Plum, anyone? Kelsey Plum took a dig at Caitlin Clark because she wouldn't say anything about the players not getting what they deserve in terms of pay. That upsets some players who believe they should carry other social burdens. CC is not like that. All Caitlin Clark wants to do is get back on the floor and play ball. That's it, and that's all. When her absence reveals how dependent the league is on her presence, there's a threat. Because admitting she is carrying a large chunk of the viewership profit narrative undermines every collective growth story. You can tell by every shot that cameras take at Caitlin Clark sitting on the bench or with her on the floor. You can see it. You can absolutely see it. Now, if people want to talk numbers, let's talk dollars, because this isn't just ego. This is business. All those viewers, that engagement equals revenue, TV deals, sponsorships, merchandise, ticket sales. Clark's presence accelerates that. The league valuation, analysts say her arrival has increased the value of the NBA to at least, ready for this number, $875 million, with the potential to exceed $1 billion. And remember, last year, they just inked a $2.2 billion broadcast deal. In 2024, the Indiana Fever saw among the highest revenue ticket merchandise gains in franchise history. Her impact is measured not just in eyeballs, but in money. But the risk is real. If she's injured or she's out for stretches for whatever reason, like a groin injury that she's had since they played the Sun in Boston, the presence weakens. Those numbers slip fast. The league just doesn't show how far they slip, because admitting the dependency is admitting vulnerability. But I got to throw some credit to Indiana Fever fans. They kept their support, even with Caitlin Clark being out, even with Sophie Cunningham being out. Ari McDonald, Sydney Colson, Chloe Bibby all lost to season-ending injuries. They stayed with their team, though the numbers in merchandise purchases dropped. Give an example. Last year, let's take a look at the Fever and the Lynx. With Clark in that game, drew 1.57 million viewers on ESPN. That's massive in regular season WNBA terms, and it's one of the best in decades. This year, similar marquee matchups without her, or when she's absent, which was all games that happened this year against Minnesota, are drawing significantly fewer viewers. The drop-off is real. The with Caitlin games that set the ceiling, without her games so far below that ceiling, everything else lies. It's come down to this for me. Caitlin Clark isn't just a star. She's the axis the WNBA is spinning on right now. She's exposed what's always there. The league could grow, should grow, but lack the star power and identity to scale fast. That's not to say they haven't had stars in the past. Cynthia Cooper, Lisa Leslie, Tina Thompson, Sue Bird, all Hall of Famers, by the way. It's not to say they haven't had stars in the past. They just weren't marketed correctly to exceed expectations. But now that we're living in that growth, she's made everyone see what happens when you put a face out there people actually care about. The problem? The WNBA and ESPN sometimes hide that dependency, because if they don't, it means admitting that all the branding about we're good overall, regardless of who's on the court, is a partial lie. But for real growth, you need honesty. Show the highs with her, show the lows without her. Let people understand the risk and the reward, because Caitlin Clark has given the league its best shot in a long time. And as it approaches its 30th year, the question is, will they acknowledge it, or will they keep pretending everything was fine without her? There's the question that needs to be answered. That's Snowman's take. What's yours? Thanks for watching, everybody. If you like this, hit share. Tag someone in the sports world who's pretending these numbers don't mean something. I'll keep digging, and I always want the truth over the spin. Snowman here, and now Snowman out. Thanks, y'all.